Thank you for joining us. I am Bonnie Hinschberger, co-founder of Broad Escapes, and I'm so excited to have you to be presenting an actual live tour. We have operated some virtual tours throughout the pandemic, and just to kind of keep you excited about traveling, but those were all virtual for just to keep you more of the armchair travel perspective. So this one is live, and we're actually going to be traveling to the Yukon. So I'm also very excited to be able to include some Canadian content into our programming. And we've done this for a couple of reasons. One is that there's so much of Canada that we haven't yet explored, and many of you probably haven't explored either. But also we understand that there's still some hesitancy with some people to cross borders at this time. So we wanted to introduce to you some tours within Canada, so you don't have to cross the borders and you can still travel with us in a safe, fun, and welcoming environment. So today we're going to be presenting Travel Talk on the Yukon, and I want to introduce to you my colleague Liz Chase. Liz is a tour manager with Broad Escapes, and any of you who have traveled with her can attest to the fact that she takes awesome care of our travelers. Liz has traveled extensively through the Yukon, and she was instrumental in putting this tour together, creating the itinerary, and in handpicking the activities that are included in the tour. So I hope you enjoy. I'm going to pass it over to Liz now, and Liz, you can take over.
Thanks, Bonnie. Well, good afternoon, everyone. I'm really thrilled to be introducing the awesomeness of the Yukon to you. There's so much to see, do, and explore in the north, and it's a place that holds some special magic, and I still find the same. Before we continue with the presentation, though, we want to present a brief visual tour of the Yukon. So here we go. So welcome to the Yukon. You'll notice on the map that there's a black line, and that shows the route that we'll be taking. We'll land in Whitehorse and we'll explore the surrounding southern areas. And then we'll head east to Haines Junction and Kluane National Park. That's called the Kluane region. We'll make our way back to Whitehorse, and then we'll be driving northwards to Dawson City and Tombstone Territorial Park up in the Klondike region. And then we'll take a flight back to Whitehorse, ending our tour there. So as you saw in the video, you're in for some majestic scenery in the Yukon. The diversity of the landscape up north is incredible, from boreal forests to tundra to spectacular mountain ranges, glittering lakes and meandering rivers. Guaranteed you'll be taking lots of photos of the ever-changing scenery. You'll feel energized up here with 24 hours of daylight, and if you stay awake late enough, you'll catch a midnight sunset. So what fun activities do we have planned for you in the Yukon? We've got a number of mellow hikes in Kluane National Park, home of Mount Logan, Canada's tallest peak, I should say. Have no fear, we've got no plans to scale that one. We'll also be hiking in Tombstone Territorial Park, also known as Canada's Patagonia. And each place we'll take our time to soak up the scenery and enjoy a lovely picnic lunch on the trail. We also have a morning paddle or canoe planned for you down the Yukon River. We're guaranteed to see some bird life and likely some animal life as well. We'll take the opportunity to get out along the way though and stretch our legs and also enjoy a picnic. Find your inner cowgirl, saddle up, we're gonna go for a horseback ride. We'll also be visiting a dog ranch, for lack of a better word, where dogs are trained for sled racing in the Yukon. We'll get a chance to learn about their training and play with some of the dogs before we take the summer version of a sled dog ride. I just want to take a minute to talk about fitness level and activity level on tour. So in terms of fitness, people should have generally a moderate level of fitness, which would mean 2 to 3 hours at a time, walking along uneven ground, generally with minimal elevation gain, but we could encounter some rougher terrain. And the ability to get in and out of a canoe, kayak, or boat. In terms of our activities, all beginners are welcome. No experience is needed. And the horseback ride, which will be a lot of fun, is optional. So back to the tour, and we will definitely be seeing some wildlife along the way, often by the roadside. Sometimes they'll cross your path. To get more of our fill of some of the species in the Yukon, we'll be visiting the Yukon Wildlife Preserve, where animals are in their natural setting, and we'll be able to possibly get a little closer from some really stunning animal photography. And after all the activities that we're doing, we'll certainly welcome an opportunity to soak in one of the outdoor hot springs in the Yukon in a lovely natural pool under a summer sky. And what could be better at the end of the day than resting your head on a soft pillow at a lovely wilderness eco lodge that has unique, distinctive rooms. And it's a place where we'll be pampered with gourmet food and have a chance to relax on their porch with a good book, soak in their hot tub, or tell some stories around the campfire at night. Indigenous peoples have lived on the land for over 12,000 years in the north. We will visit a recreation of a traditional village of the Southern Shoshone culture, where a guide will tell us about how their ancestors lived off the land and used the natural landscape for creating a livelihood in the north. At another time, we'll take a walk and learn about wilderness food foraging and medicine making from plants. In the 3 different regions we visit, there's First Nations cultural centers where you can explore more about the 12 different First Nations that make up the First Peoples of the Yukon. Gold, gold, and more gold. In the late 1800s, the gold rush was on. Thousands of people descended on the Klondike territory. We'll visit some of the famous goldfield spots and we'll pan for gold ourselves, perhaps finding our own little fortune. We'll also take a river trip down one of the rivers to where there's some of the first migrants settled. And we'll explore some of the old cabins and hear some history and stories about some of the characters who first came to the Yukon. Dawson still has a lot of its frontier charm with atmospheric buildings and quaint shops and cute little cafes. We'll be able to take our time poking around in and strolling down its streets. We'll also spend an evening at the famous or infamous Diamond Tooth Gertie's, which is one of Canada's oldest gambling spots, where we'll hear a musical show and perhaps be motivated to kick up our heels ourselves, particularly after you try the sourdough cocktail. There's lots of different artists and crafters in the Yukon, and we'll have the opportunity to see some of them at work. We'll also explore our own inner artiste at an art workshop put on by a local gallery. The Yukon has its own food culture, where we'll find specialty items created just in the Yukon and where chefs create meals from locally sourced produce and items from the land. There's also food trucks and always a local craft brew to quench your thirst at the end of the day. There's a lot of outdoor summer events in the Yukon, and we're likely to be able to hear some live music somewhere along our journey. Also, you have to take home a souvenir from the Yukon, and there's so many lovely galleries to look around in and select something special to bring home. So come join us on this fun adventure with a friendly group of Broad Escapes women on our tour to the Yukon. Our trip runs from July 21st to 31st, and we're only taking a maximum of 12 travelers. We have a number of people booked already. The cost for the tour is around $7,300. We welcome solo travelers and will roommate match. If you'd prefer your own room, there is a single supplement, and currently space is very limited. So don't hesitate, book now through our website or give us a call. And as with all of our Broad Escapes tours, everything is well looked after, and especially you. I'm going to open up now to questions. Feel free to type any questions into the chat room, and we'll answer those as we go.
So Liz, we don't have any in the chat room, but I have some questions that came in prior to the presentation. And one is, what type of weather can we expect in July?
July is obviously generally warmer. The temperature range is probably from about 15 to up to 25 degrees. It's variable in the Yukon, so be prepared for really any kind of weather, which would mean packing lots of layers. Highly recommend a good rain jacket and really good walking shoes. not casual shoes. The hikes we'll be going on, as I mentioned, they're relatively flat trails, but we can encounter uneven or rougher ground. So good pair of shoes is essential to have. And everything from, t-shirts to fleece, sweaters, and a warm jacket, rain jacket, hat would be also a good idea as well. Sometimes if we're in an area where it's windy, you might want a toque and or a sun hat.
And I have another question here. Are there mosquitoes?
Yes, you will encounter bugs. Often people hear about the bugs in the Yukon. On the numerous trips when I've been there, it hasn't been an issue. You definitely need bug spray, so come with a can of that. And as long as you spray that on, and primarily it's when we'll be doing our outdoor activities where you will need that. But generally it's not an issue in the towns.
And another one, what means of transportation will be used within the parks?
We'll be getting around by a smaller van, so sort of a half bus.
A mini coach.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, I don't think there's one more previous question. Will there be other single travelers on this trip, and will I feel comfortable if I join as a solo traveler?
Absolutely. We love having solo travelers along. Everybody's warm and welcoming and friendly. And yes, we're really happy to have anyone joining us on their own.
Okay, well, that kind of ends our short and sweet travel talk. And again, thank you for joining us. Oh, I do see one more question coming in. Will you be stopping by salmon runs to view bears?
Not specifically, no. And at that time of year, the salmon generally aren't running, so that we won't be doing something as specific as that, but it's very likely to see a bear somewhere along our journey. As I mentioned, either often just beside the side of the road, as sometimes they forage there for food because it's more open space. And there is the possibility we might come across one on our during our outdoor activities.
Okay, well, again, thank you all for joining us. That wraps up our short, sweet travel talk to the Yukon. And if you have any other questions, certainly give us a call. You can reach us by email, through our website, or also by phone. So thank you again. We really look forward to filling this trip up and having you join us in the Yukon.
Yes, thank you all. And I'm really looking forward to seeing some of you on our trip.